and no one knows the situation with Tua better than our Laura Rutledge, who is back with us here. And Laura is safe and sound, but very plugged in. And I know you've been talking to a lot of people over the last week or so about Tua's situation. We saw that video last week. What are you hearing about his progress since then?
Well, Greeny, this whole time they wanted to take a very conservative approach with Tua. That's important when it comes to the healing of the hip and just the long-term prognosis for his long-term health, which obviously the durability, everything that's in question here, people want to see that happen. So just a few days ago, he began some of the drills that when he began to do this, they threw about 20 passes and he completed 17 of them. The 3 misses were by inches. Now, remember, Tua Tagovailoa is the most accurate downfield passer since ESPN began tracking that in 2011. So right off the bat, with him getting back into this more serious activity from an athletic standpoint, he's already off to a great start. That was very encouraging. That video that happened from these routes on air was sent out to NFL teams, offering a lot of reassurance there. And Greeny, the belief continues to be that whenever the NFL season begins next season, he would be able to play. Tua Tagovailoa would be ready by that point if a team is asking him to play that early.
And I quoted you yesterday, but I did it off the top. I want to make sure I have this right, because I know you've been talking both with his team and with others about what his expectation is and the teams that seem to be interested. I was saying yesterday, I believe you said that the Dolphins continue to be a team you are hearing is expressing significant interest. What do we know about his expectation for where he's going to go on the 23rd?
Yeah, I heard you say that. Big fan of the show, and tweeted out. It was just, a little drill. There's so much more that he's been doing, but that little video even got more teams calling, more teams interested in exactly what he's doing. And that's where, I think we'll continue to see that develop. We'll continue to see that interest go around. And it's like you guys have been saying, he really may not be there by that 5th pick for the Dolphins. They really may need to go up a little further to get him. I would still say the flex point is right there at that 3 pick, because I think Burrow and Chase Young will be 1 and 2. And then that 3 pick is where it gets really, really interesting.
And then quickly, because I know you've been talking to a lot of the other potential draftees, and this is like, we've never been through a draft process like this one. And there are some who I have to believe will be hurt by this process and the way it's working out. What do you know about that?
Well, look, this will happen throughout this draft. It's just a product of what we're dealing with as a country right now. But I do think that Jordan Love could be somebody who is hurt by what's going on with the limitations with NFL teams not being able to bring guys in. He's somebody that, as you guys have talked about, he's so interesting. He has the Patrick Mahomes comparisons. And look, that's going to take time to develop. But for him, teams might want to really fall in love with him. They might want to bring him in a little bit more. He has had limited contact with teams before all of this happened and before the restrictions were put in place, but I could see him maybe suffering a little bit. Still expect him to go in the first round. Somebody who I think has been helped by all of this is Justin Herbert, somebody who everyone looks at him and says, look, he doesn't have any questions from the measurables. He's somebody that, yes, you may have questions in other realms, but when you look at him, he is everything you want to see from the prototypical size standpoint, and I think that's important. Another thing about Herbert is he was able to throw at the combine. He was the MVP of the Senior Bowl, and he was able to have his pro day. So just the timing worked out a little bit better for him. That could work in his favor.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Dan, because it feels to me like maybe this goes back now to old school, like this Jordan Love at Utah State, rather than bringing him into your building and letting him do a bunch of things that don't really have anything to do with football anyway and